Hey guys, this is Mark Taylor with Game Skinny, aka Lord Hammer from GuildHammer.com, and we are here day 2 for E3, and I am here with Tiffany Chu, one of the developers, the real developers, not just a PR person, for Wildstar, and we're actually here at the Alienware booth. We were here yesterday, and so Tiffany, if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, and what it is you do with Carbine.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm a content designer on Wildstar. I started out doing content just like putting stuff into the zone, but then I moved briefly over to social systems. So I was kind of leading the team that's in charge of guilds, housing, grouping, friends, anything to kind of encourage players to make friends and have friends, interact with each other, play with each other. Of course, if you want to play by yourself, that's totally fine. We are okay with that, and we have enough content for you to do solo as well. But recently, I just moved over to making tutorials. I want to make sure that new players have a good experience in the game, because we do have a couple of game features and systems that are unique to Wildstar that other MMOs or RPGs may not have. But we don't want to give you like an info dump at the beginning, because who wants to be inundated with like all the things, and they may not need to know all of them right away. But at the same time, I want to make sure that the tutorial is not in your face, like, hey, dummy, press this button. Like, nobody needs to be treated like that, right?
Actually, I might need that.
Well, we want to find a good balance for like different player skill levels. And also, as always, you can turn off tutorials. Just say, leave me alone. Let me figure it out. That's cool. But I'm working to make sure that it's easy for you to understand the game and to get into there and play without being in your face about it.
Okay, so let's maybe step through that. In terms of the content for the zones, what's some of the content that you created?
You mean way back?
way back.
Wow, it's not even in the game anymore. That's how old it is.
Oh, okay. Well, then what about some of the guild systems? Can you tell us anything about the guild systems?
Let me see what I can talk about. I know we will have guilds. Guilds are not going to be immediately available for you unless, we pull some sort of shenanigans. But we also have a system called circles. And what it is you can group up with different circles of your friends. So you can say, hey, this circle is, my coworkers. This circle are like my college friends. And this circle of people comprises of fellow gamers who, like me, who enjoy raiding. And when you group with people in your circles, you get a bonus to earning renown, which is a type of currency, and with enough renown you can buy a guild. But like I said, guild system is like being worked on right now, and so in the next phase of closed beta, we're going to push some of the basic guild features out for players to play with. They'll be able to check out like what it's like to be a guild leader, and then if you can give permissions out to different people, what that's like, how do you play with those permissions, how that affects your guild bank, setting ranks, and what does that mean? Like when you're in a group, does that affect anything? Does it affect like how you use guild resources, because guilds will also have a currency? But like I said, all these things are in the works, and we're kind of playing with the systems. We want to make sure that you never feel like, oh, I just leveled my guild to like 20 and I'm done. My guild is done leveling. We never want you to feel like you've hit a ceiling. We want you to feel like you can keep going and that there's more to do.
Well, the cool thing here is that, you're not just starting off with some system and saying, this is the guild system. You're using an iterative or iterative process to actually, build different systems and then kind of see what works, especially in the beta process, and then move from there. And then I guess once you're done with the system of systems, you can, deem that this is the guild management system. So now are you looking to launch with a guild bank? Because that's something that a lot of games have not done, in the past year or two.
I am pretty certain I would not get in trouble if I said yes.
Outstanding. All right, so then about some of the tutorials that you've got going on right now, are those tutorials that are specifically set to the beginner, or are there tutorials that, I guess, progress as you get into different things as you level up?
I feel like we don't need to teach you about things that you can't do right away. So for example, trade skills, you can't do trade skills till you're level 10, so why would I teach you about it when you first start the game, right? You're just going to forget about it. It's just going to be in your way, and it's just too much information when you first start. So it'll be a process. So as you learn and unlock new systems, features, quests, mission types, that's when we'll start teaching you about them. You can choose to turn off tutorials, in which case we'll stop bugging you. Basically, it's a UI element that'll pop up, be like, hey, this button lit up. this is what it means. One of the things that we have a lot of people miss is the datacron, and what it is it's the future. You know, you have a cell phone, people can call you and be like, hey, buddy, if you're in this area, I would love it if you could collect this thing for me or kill these things or whatever, right? So you don't have to run back to town. But unfortunately, the button, when it lights up, it's kind of off in the corner, and so not everyone notices. So I want to teach you, like, pay attention to this button and this sound, and just point it out, like arrow, like, hey, look here. Okay, I'm out of your face. Bye.
Now, will any of that like have like a voiceover element, or will it just be like a pop-up box that you'll notice that you just read the text?
I'm trying to go for less invasive, so I think a voiceover might be a little too much, but I don't know, I could be wrong. I love to kind of tweak it and see, but for now we're saying no voice and just UI element. And depending on how complex the system is, it may be of varying like sizes. So if you go into like a battleground and they have like a whole new rule set, different type of gameplay style or whatever, and they have a lot to explain to you, it might be a page that takes up the entire screen. But since when you first load in, you'll be safe, like there'll be a countdown before the match begins, it's okay. But like I said, we're playing with it and just kind of need player feedback on it. So we're working on that and trying to get that into our next batch of closed beta players.
Okay, very cool. So can you tell us anything about the build and what it is that you're presenting to the folks here that are at 83? Because, you know, like I said yesterday, you guys are actually showing at Alienware's booth, because everyone's told me that you're going to have a presence at PAX Prime in a couple months. So is there anything about the build you can tell us?
Well, first of all, it's not optimized, and the fact that it's running really smoothly on these Alienware 17s says a lot about their system. So shout out to Alienware. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. What we're showing right here is Daradoon. It's a Dominion level, I want to say 6 to 12 zone. So it's kind of early on in the game. And we want to show off some of the basics of like gameplay, you know, like combat, you know, moving, jumping, double jumping, dodging, and kind of getting people used to the idea of like when you're playing, you have to watch out for these telegraphs, these little red marks on the ground. Because the monster will do white damage, and that's just his normal like punch, kick, bite, but he'll also have special attacks that will do more damage, knock you down, disarm you, have different effects. So you want to be careful with those. Now, if you choose to stand in the way and be like, all right, Yeti, breathe on me, whatever, I can take it, you'll take damage, you might get stunned, but you can keep fighting. It's not like it's the end of the world if you make a mistake. But it does feel more fun if you feel like, oh, there's a thing, I can react to it, and I did it, and then we're like, hey, good job, you dodged that, and maybe here's a bonus. So that's all like combat tweaking and tuning that we're doing from this build. The other stuff we want to get people in front of is the path system, when you can pick a path, and then we give you missions to do based off of the path that you picked. Because paths are kind of special to our game. I don't think other games give you more content based on the playstyle that you choose. So, we want to kind of get people in front of it and say, hey, you're an explorer. Why don't you try climbing that tree? Or, hey, there's something hidden over there. Try to go find it. And it just feels very rewarding when you're like, I found the secret cave, or I scaled this mountain, and that's kind of like, I'm an explorer. That's what I like doing. I like these jump puzzles, or I like finding things that normal people wouldn't go to. And then you're like, hey, good job doing that. Here's a reward.
Okay, so I guess final question, Exile or Dominion?
Me, I'm a Dominion at heart because they're so clean and neat. Yeah, you can say they're a little snobby, but they're clean.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, and have a great E3.